This is Arkies in the Beltway, your look at national politics and the Arkansans influencing the discussions. I'm Alex Thomas, Washington correspondent for the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, reporting from the nation's capital. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of April 13th, 2025. The U.S. Senate and House of Representatives are away from Capitol Hill for the next 2 weeks, but when they return, the U.S. Capitol will be a hectic scene. That's because both chambers have agreed on a budget resolution that sets markers to meet Republicans' policy goals of spending reductions and keeping the 2017 tax cuts in place. The Senate approved the resolution in the early morning hours of April 5th. The House followed suit last Thursday. Yet the House vote was delayed until Senate Majority Leader John Thune publicly announced that his chamber would work to find at least $1.5 trillion in cuts. Representative Steve Womack of Rogers cites Thune's commitment as the factor leading to last Thursday's vote.
That's laudable that they would be talking about that, but it's not on paper yet.
The final vote from the House, 216 to 214, all four of Arkansas's House members backed the resolution. Kentucky's Thomas Massie and Indiana's Victoria Sparks, the only Republicans who voted no. The resolution instructs most Senate and House committees to suggest actions resulting in cuts to federal spending with a mid-May deadline for propositions. Representative Bruce Westerman of Hot Springs leads the House Natural Resources Committee, which will need to put forward a plan reducing the deficit by $1 billion over the next decade.
We get to start showcasing a lot of work we've been doing for the past year and putting together reconciliation language. We'll see a lot of committee activity developing the language to be rolled into the one big reconciliation bill.
Senate and House Democrats not shy in criticizing the resolution, worried about what spending reductions could mean for programs like SNAP and Medicaid. The House Agriculture Committee, which oversees matters involving SNAP, would need to come up with steps to reduce spending by $230 billion. The House Energy and Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over Medicaid, would have to suggest reductions reaching $880 billion. Minnesota Representative Angie Craig is the top Democrat on the House Agriculture Committee. The West Helena, Arkansas native addressed the resolution during a committee hearing last Tuesday.
I'm not sure why my colleagues think that slashing SNAP, Medicaid, and other critical programs to pay for tax cuts, for the majority of those to go to the ultra-wealthy in this country, I'm not sure why that's a priority for Congress right now.
With spending cuts a possibility, Womack acknowledges last Thursday's vote was the easy part.
The heavy lift will come when the committees of jurisdiction detail and put pen to paper on their savings that they calculate and just how that affects the discerning Americans out there that will be impacted by it.
Senator John Boozman of Rogers leads the Senate Agriculture Committee, which also has jurisdiction over SNAP. Boozman previously told the Democrat-Gazette that he has already started talking with colleagues about steps to reduce the federal deficit within his committee's jurisdiction. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is now Ambassador Huckabee. The Senate confirmed Huckabee last Wednesday as the next ambassador to Israel. Pennsylvania Democrat John Fetterman joined 52 Republicans in supporting the nomination. Hours after the vote on Capitol Hill, Huckabee took the oath of office at the Arkansas State Capitol in Little Rock.
Discharge the duties of the office
on which I am about to enter.
on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Levinsky Smith, the chief judge on the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, presiding over the ceremony. President Donald Trump nominated Huckabee for the position in November, shortly after the presidential election. Huckabee described the 5 months between being selected for the job and the Senate's vote.
Folks, the ordeal to get appointed to be ambassador is something that I never would have imagined. And I told some folks, I said, if I knew how complicated it was going to be and how drawn out it was going to be, I might have just said to the president, here am I, send somebody else.
When Trump made his pick, he said Huckabee would work on bringing long-term peace to the Middle East. Senator Tom Cotton of Little Rock noted his agreement with that assessment during remarks on the Senate floor before the vote.
Now, as the United States ambassador to Israel, Mike will lead and strengthen our important diplomatic relationship with Israel with courage and conviction.
Huckabee's nomination drew attention to his past comments on Palestine and its people. Huckabee has opposed a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine and backed Israelis building in the West Bank. Huckabee told senators, if confirmed, he would represent the Trump administration's agenda, not his own views. Virginia Democrat Tim Kaine during last month's Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing with Huckabee sitting before senators.
What I'm looking for in an ambassador to Israel and a policy about the U.S.-Israel relationship is strong support for Israel, condemnation of Hamas, but also a recognition that Palestinians have a right to live, and they have a right to the state that they were promised by the UN in 1947.
Huckabee and his wife Janet expect to arrive in Jerusalem ahead of Easter and the final day of Passover. His arrival as the Israel-Hamas war is in its 18th month, and the United States and Iran discuss the future of the Iranian nuclear program. Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso said last Wednesday the United States' support for a peaceful Middle East starts with supporting Israel.
America and Israel share urgent challenges. We also share a sacred cause. Governor Huckabee is the right man at the right time with the right values to carry forward that cause.
Huckabee, the first Arkansan to receive a Senate vote in this Congress when it comes to an ambassadorship. Senators still need to consider Warren Stevens as the next ambassador to the United Kingdom. The Senate Foreign Relations Committee has favorably reported that nomination. The House agreeing with the Senate on overturning a Biden administration rule restricting overdraft fees. The chamber approved Senate Joint Resolution 18 last Wednesday. All 4 Arkansas House members backed the legislation. The resolution nullifies a pending rule from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau capping overdraft fees at banks and credit unions to $5 or an amount covering cost or losses. The CFPB put forward that rule in December, with it set to take effect in October. Representative French Hill of Little Rock put forward a House resolution with identical language to the Senate resolution. He says banks and credit unions have been able to meet consumer needs without federal intervention, noting lower overdraft fees and low bounce alerts at many financial institutions.
Competition and innovation, not government-mandated price caps, remain the best way to ensure consumers have access to affordable financial products and services.
Hill, a former banker, serves as the chair of the House Financial Services Committee. Its ranking member, Democrat Maxine Waters of California, led Democratic opposition to the resolution, arguing the rule as written prevents banks and credit unions from charging high overdraft fees.
I think Mr. Hill said many banks do not charge overdraft fees. Then why are they opposed to $5?
The resolution, as the White House has made the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau one of its early targets. A U.S. district judge late last month issued a preliminary injunction preventing the Trump administration from firing additional employees or stopping any mandated work. And that will do it for this edition of Arkies in the Beltway for the week of April 13th, 2025. You can stay up to date with all news involving Arkansas at arkansasonline.com. Special thanks, as always, to the team down in Little Rock. I'm Alex Thomas, and this has been Arkies in the Beltway. Thanks for listening.